Hi, let us understand how the container is going to get attached to the new network that we are going to create and what are all the changes going to happen within the host file, resolve.configuration file, and how the Ethernet adapter going to behave, and the registration with the internally built DNS of Docker. In the earlier lecture, we saw how the container is going to get attached to the custom network, how they will create a common namespace between those two containers and they are going to communicate. Now, I'm going to create two more containers and a network. I'm going to use the Docker Lab. So this is the node I'm going to use. So it's going to have the IP address 192.168.0.17. So that will be the IP address of this specific host. And I'm going to create a custom network for our demo purpose. Let me go ahead and create a custom network. Let me go ahead and inspect the custom network. So this is going to have the gateway IP address as 172.19.0.1 so that all the containers getting attached to this particular network will get the IP address in this specific range. So this is going to be the IP address of this particular gateway, or we can call that as a router as well, and it will have the name as mynetwork1. And I'm going to create a couple of more containers. Let me go ahead and create the container and attach it to this specific network. I'll create a container with the name Redis, and it will get attached to the network mynetwork1, and it will be using the Redis Alpine image. For all the image, especially for the networking demo, I'm going to use Alpine as the base image. The reason because it has the built-in commands for IP as well as the ping commands. Now let me go ahead and create another container that will also get attached to the network, and it will have the name Nginx. So what I have done, I have created two containers, one with the name of Redis, another with the name of Nginx. Let me go ahead and inspect these two containers and get the IP address. First, I'm going to inspect Redis. That will have the IP address 172.19.0.2, and let me inspect the Nginx. That will have the IP address 0.3. Let me go ahead and update the presentation. So I have created two containers. One is Redis, and that's going to have the IP address 19.0.2, and another container that we created that is in the name of Nginx. That will have the IP address 0.3. Now these two containers are put within the namespace of mynetwork1 so that they will be in a position to communicate. So what's going to happen? They are put within the same network namespace so that they can communicate each other. I have arranged the diagram so that it's more easier to visualize. Now I'm going to execute few commands. Now let me try to ping Nginx and Redis each other. I'm able to ping, and the other way also I should be in a position to ping. So I'm executing ping command from Redis. I'm trying to ping Nginx. Yes, I'm able to do. That means both are reachable. And the difference between the earlier lecture and this particular lecture is, earlier we created a custom network and we attached the containers to that specific custom network. By default, when it is getting created, it will get created with its own namespace. This time, directly it's going to get created against the custom network that we had created. Now, let me go ahead and inspect the host files of these two containers. That will give a better idea. So the host file says this is the IP address, and that should get routed to this specific container ID, and that is made an entry within the host file as this specific host file. So the host name of this Redis container will be the ID, and its IP address is made an entry within it. And if I look into the ifconfig of Redis container, it's going to have one Ethernet adapter, and that will have the IP address that got assigned from the router. I can check the resolve configuration file as well of the same container. So it's going to use this particular name server, that is the name server built in within the Docker, and generally it will have this specific IP address 127.0.0.11. So it's going to look into this specific name server and check where the container is running with that specific host name or the IP address. I can check more details about the Ethernet adapter, that is ETH0 for IP6, as well as what is the default adapter. All the values I can check over here using the command IP ADDR and get the details about Ethernet adapter ETH0. As I have only one Ethernet adapter, that will be used as a default one. Later point of time, we are going to see how it's possible to have multiple Ethernet adapter as well. And how the routing going to happen through this particular Ethernet adapter, I can get it using the command exec redis IP route. Anything related to this particular range 172.19.0.0, it will get routed through the source 172.19.0.2, and the default routing will be happening through this specific gateway 172.19.0.1, and it will be through the Ethernet adapter 0, ETH0. The same way we can see the details about the Nginx as well. I can execute the cat command against the host file within the Nginx container. Here I do have the IP address and the host name. So the Nginx going to have this specific IP address, and that will get assigned to the ETH0, and internally that's going to have a host name as the container ID. So I can use the host name as a part of the exec command against the Nginx container and check the host name. So this is the host name. Let me list the container details. Docker container ls. So this is the container ID, and the same is used as the host name. So these are all the important files when it comes to debugging related to the networking. And networking namespace is nothing but it's going to create a common namespace, and all the containers that are getting attached to that specific networking namespace will get an IP address. This particular concept will be much clearer once we start using multiple network namespace getting attached to a container. So in a quick summary, we had seen how to create a container with a custom network, and we explored the different files that's going to control the networking namespace like etc host, etc resolve.configuration, and how to do the NS lookup, and the IP details about the ETH0 adapter and the IP route.